Second by Mr. Sanders. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Minutes pass. Next item on the agenda is the final plat, PF-10-14-4618, Anna Estates. Mr. Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner and members of the Commission. Before you tonight is a single lot plat for Anna Estates. The property consists of approximately 3.5 acres. It is located on the west side of Southeast Cook Road. Excuse me, approximately 315 feet south of Willow Tree Drive. Property is zoned residential estate, and this particular tract of land was part of the original Willow Tree development. It was platted at that time as a tract of land. The applicant is proposing a single-family. Let's get to the plat map and just put it on. Oh, that's not it. Here we go. Sorry. There we go. The applicant's proposing to plat a single lot, as I stated, and his hope or his desire is to demolish the existing structure on this particular piece of property and build a single-family residence. Because it was platted originally with Willow Tree and was only platted as a tract, he had to plat the property, final plat the property, is doing so now. In the background, provided a little bit of information on Willow Tree, but probably the key information in the background information or the previous actions and approval has to do with the City Council approval of an ordinance amending the municipal code to permit on-site waste disposal systems on certain lots. That then allows the applicant the opportunity to put a septic system on this particular lot because of the cost of actually extending sanitary sewer to the lot and the distance from sanitary sewer that the lot sits. So the lot does meet the minimum lot size, that being 3 acres in a residential estate, and this particular one is 3.5. It also meets the minimum width. All of the minimums will be met with this particular piece of property. A couple of key issues with the property is that typically with platting, we of course require public improvements, and in this particular case, the applicant has provided 20 feet of additional right-of-way on the west side of Southeast Cook Road. Does not show on this plat, but on the final plat that has been provided since, that revision has been made, and so that 20 feet is dedicated. Also, the applicant would be required to provide sidewalk, and is required to provide sidewalk. I'm going to show you the aerial photo. I'm not sure how good that comes out from where you sit, but as you can see, Willow Tree to the north did not provide sidewalk through that subdivision. It was prior to the ordinance, and I'm not certain, but at any rate, there never was sidewalk installed along Southeast Cook Road there, and as you can see, across Cook Road is still very rural. No development has occurred, and therefore no sidewalk has occurred. Similarly to the south, again, rural estate type lots, no sidewalk. And the chances of development of sidewalk in this area, in our opinion, is certainly not high right now, and who knows what will happen in the future. But the applicant has requested to post a security escrow, and the type of security escrow that he's proposing to post is an agreement, and I think it is coupled with a covenant. And that covenant basically would then say that should development occur on either side or across the street in any way and sidewalk be added, that he then would be more than willing to put sidewalk in at that particular point. There is a sunset clause on that covenant and agreement that, although the agreement hasn't been formally worked up, that will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 years. In other words, if a development does not come in within that time frame, he would be released from that responsibility. It will be up to the council to determine whether that type of financial security for performance is acceptable. And again, that will be a subject they take up. The other requirement that is a condition of approval has also been shown on the final plat that was recently submitted to staff prior to this report getting to you. Requires a 15-foot sewer easement along the west property line, extending completely across that property line, and they have provided that easement. Staff does recommend conditional approval of the final plat, and there are 6 conditions that we are recommending. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions for staff? Mr. Billups?
Mr. Holly, I think you answered my question here, but I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. What we're doing here is approving a final plat for a preliminary plat that was done a long time ago. Is that what you said?
That's correct.
So at the point it was, and maybe it doesn't make any difference when it was preliminary platted, it would have been part of
Willow Tree.
We're changing the name. That doesn't affect anything?
No, that doesn't. As far as this particular lot goes, it doesn't. This particular lot was included in the sketch plat as a tract. They're now just separating it out and platting it as its own lot, so it really isn't part of Willow Tree. Won't be subject to their homeowners association or anything else, and that's why they're calling it Anna Estates.
Are there any other questions?
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
What is the terms, maybe I missed it on is there a sunset on this sidewalk?
Yeah, and because the agreement and covenant really is really more or less in discussion between the city attorney and the applicant, and then again, dependent upon what the city council's desire is. Right now, what's being proposed is somewhere between a 10 and 15-year sunset clause. So at the end of whatever term that is, be it 10 years or 15 years, then at that point, the property owner, whomever that is at that time, would no longer be responsible for installing a sidewalk should it come in around them. This is a fairly large lot, too, I might add, and if at some point in the future it were to further subdivide, well, at that time, obviously, we would require the sidewalk to go in.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Holly.
Thank you.
I see the applicant property owners in the audience. Mr. Tharp, you want to address the commission?
Really, the only thing I'd like to say was that I would like to try to put a 10-year limit on it if I could. I mean, that's what City of Kansas City does, and I think some other neighboring areas do too. But that's what I'd like to see if we could.
Are there any questions to the applicant or property owner? Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing none, we're back up here with any comments, revisions, or a motion. Mr. Wallace.
We don't have the authority here to set that sunset date, do we? That's up to the council?
You don't have the authority to set it, but you can make a
Make
recommendation.
a recommendation.
Mr. Haney.
I'd make a motion to move to approve PF 1014 4618 Anna Estates final plat with the 6 staff recommendations and the 10-year sunset added to the sidewalk provision.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is other business. Our next scheduled meeting is Monday, April 13th. Are there any items that have been submitted for that meeting at this point, or none at this point? Okay. All right. So if we do not receive any, then are we past the deadline for the April 13th meeting?
Yes. Last Friday.
So since we do not have any items for the agenda, Unless there's an objection, we'll go ahead and cancel the meeting then for Monday, April 13th. Okay. Do you feel okay with that, Mr. Allen? I saw that look. I want to make sure. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, go ahead.
I don't know if you can hear anybody. I get, the only reason I was hesitating is that I think, though, the 27th agenda items are not, we'd like to come forward, maybe ready for a presentation or discussion on the UDC at that time for April 27th.
Okay.
So everyone, please keep that open, again, regardless of whatever applications we may get in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So thank you. I was just pondering on the timeline, and the 27th is probably when we'll be doing that, not the 13th.
Not the 13th. Okay. All right. The next item under other business is the Eastern Jackson County Planning Commissioners Training Session. It's scheduled for Tuesday, April 7th. It's being hosted by the City Lease Summit over at the Gamber Community Center, which we have had meetings there previously on a training session. And if you have not already let Karen know, if you could please let her know by this Friday, that would be very much appreciative, this Friday, March 27th.
And given that we have the 13th off, the 7th would be a great time to make that up at the training session.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the 2014 annual report. According to staff, this is an opportunity, this is a draft report, opportunity to take a look, provide any comments. I'd just like to compliment staff again for their hard work in regards to the report. I know I read in here this is the 5th year that we've used this type of software. And I think it's been very helpful over those past 5 years to see this information documented in this annual process. So thank you, staff. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to comment and commend the staff, the hours that they put in and the reports that they do. Thank you very much.
Okay, so enough pats on the back for staff. Let's go on in. The other announcements that I have is that's also as a part of your packet was there are a couple of Planning and Zoning Commissioners workshop series coming up. If you are interested in attending either of these workshop sessions, if you could give Karen a call or email her, and she'll make sure she gets you registered for that session. The next item is Saturday, April 18th is a household hazardous waste recycling event. And that's scheduled for that Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon, Pink Hill Park, free to Blue Springs residents. You could bring in automotive fluids, batteries, household cleaners, lawn and garden products, pesticides, paint, and related products, residential waste only.
And we need volunteers.
And we need volunteers. The other item is Drug Take Back, a program that where you can turn in your unused or expired medication for safe disposal. That event is scheduled for Saturday, April 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Blue Springs Municipal Annex, the Cosentino's Price Chopper at the north location, as well as the south location. Are there any other announcements? Mr. Billups.
I just want to take a minute. I don't know how many of you are aware or not. Downtown Alive recently went through an assessment process with the Missouri Main Street program, trying to get our next level of accreditation, which we're way ahead of schedule in getting that done. So we're very pleased with that. We didn't quite make it, but we were so close that they gave us a 6-month extension. Basically, we have until the 1st of July to comply with the recommendations that they came up with. One of the big recommendations they came up with was they want us to try and increase our volunteer and friend base. So I would, in saying that, I would like to invite everyone here and anyone listening to please contact us. And we would love to have some more volunteers and some more friends. And hopefully we can get past that last hurdle and make that next level of accreditation by the 1st of July.
And how can someone contact the
They can
organization?
contact me, that would be fine,
At,
at my office,
okay?
which is 229-4100.
Thank you.
And anybody can be a friend, anyone can be a volunteer. We do like to have a small donation when you become a friend. We do that at $25, $50, or $100, whatever anybody would be comfortable with. Just anything you can do to help. There are lots of committees and different areas of interest that you can do to help us bring back downtown.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements?
It's Jim's birthday, so when he comes back in.
Well, it's my understanding it's Jim's birthday, too. Happy birthday, Jim.
71.
I have one more announcement,
Yes.
and this really only applies to the two planning commissioners that are graciously volunteered for the CIP review committee. We originally thought that that was going to happen in March, but that did not happen because there were some discussions about some pretty major changes in how we look at the CIP and how we present the CIP. We still are going to have that review committee meeting. I don't have a date certain, but I suspect that that will be coming up within the next month, and I certainly will give you a heads up. As soon as I know, you'll know.
Okay. Thank you. Unless there's any other announcements, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I've been making my
Nice meeting you.